Here are some exercises that helped me rehab my knee after an ACL rupture. A lot of people have been asking for this. So in this video, we're going to look at the first month post-injury, what exercises could be useful. I'm Repoundzel, and I investigate how adaptable the human body truly is and how that applies to your life. I had a chance to test this in my own knee 19 months ago when I fully ruptured it. Now, after a lot of research and talking with orthopedic surgeons and physical therapists, I decided it was worth trying to go the non-surgical route first to see if I can regain function in my knee. And if it didn't work, I always had surgery as an option later. 19 months later, I had done a lot of physical therapy and a lot of strength training. My knee had regained good range of motion and strength. And my MRI showed that my ACL had not only reattached, but it's still showing signs of tissue healing, even to this day. I have a number of other videos that talk about my MRI and what the radiologist said in each of the MRIs that I got. So check that out if you want those details. So whether you're rehabbing your knee pre or post-surgery, or you're going the non-surgical route, this video is going to show you what I did in the first month after my injury to rehab my knee, to regain range of motion in my knee, and get a little bit of strength back. These exercises helped me rehab my knee, but everyone's journey is different. Talk with your physical therapist, your orthopedic surgeon, and whoever else is on your team to make sure that these exercises are useful for you in your stage of recovery. So one of the first exercises I did was try to get more range of motion back into my knee. So bending my knee as much as I could, and then straightening it. So I would kind of pulse into these end ranges, bending, sitting in that discomfort for a moment, and then straightening to the point where I was feeling some discomfort, and then again, trying to sit in it for a little bit. I would either use my hand to help, or I would grab a band, hook it around my foot, and then I would push it out, and then use the band to help pull my knee back. So, or I would use my pants to pull back, whatever I had available to kind of help pull the leg back, because it was really hard to actually contract the muscles to pull my leg back. So those are some tools you can use to help oscillate between this bending and extending of the knee. And I had a lot of fear associated with bending and straightening my leg. It was a little bit painful, especially in those end ranges. So it might be the same case for you. You might experience a little bit of fear or hesitancy with going into that end range. I would suggest explore that end range and see if you can sit in that discomfort for a little bit. The body, generally speaking, responds well to movement, and you're accessing these muscles that are starting to already atrophy. And so the more you can get into those muscles and use them, the more you're going to be able to reconnect with the muscles and at least maintain some of that strength. So I would do about 10 reps of these, and then I will alternate between that and cycling with my knees in the air. So it's like cycling on a stationary bike, but instead you're inverted and you have your feet above you and you're trying to access whatever range of motion you can get with that injured knee. What's nice is that you can see what your non-injured knee can access, and it kind of helps inform the injured knee of what it's trying to do. And it was surprisingly hard to get the coordination. So this is a nice one to get some mind-muscle connection and try to learn how to coordinate the knee movement again, and just see what kind of range of motion you can get. So I would do this for 2 to 3 minutes, and then I would sit back up and do another round of these bending and extending. I would do this for about 3 sets in total, just back and forth between each. And I would try to do it morning and evening. Also, if you're looking for more support with this, I'm building a community on Discord of people like you who are going through rehabbing their knee, whether you've had surgery or not. And I'm building this community to help people talk about their knee and what's worked for them and what hasn't. So if you want to join this community, it's completely free. Just follow the link in the description and you can join the community. Okay, on to exercise number 3. Okay, so with a foam roller, I would actually use it to prop up my injured leg, and I would try to straighten my leg. So actually what's helpful is I would have both legs on it. So this was my non-injured leg, and I would see how high up I could straighten it. And then I would compare to my injured leg, and I would always be able to see it wouldn't go as high. And so I would keep just lifting and then lowering, and then compare to my non-injured leg. Now I can get it all the way up, but it definitely took some time. So this is a nice one because you're working to actively straighten your leg and to see how much more you have left to go compared to your non-injured leg. So I would do this one, again, maybe 10 to 20 reps, just trying to keep pulsing back and forth, trying to get a little bit more range of motion. So that's an active version of straightening your leg. And then I would also work on more of a passive version. You can use a foam roller, anything to elevate your feet. And I would see if I could let my leg passively extend. This one was way more scary and uncomfortable for me. So I oftentimes was guarding it quite a bit. I would oftentimes use my foot to kind of help support it and gently lower it down, because it was harder and scarier for me, at least. It might be different for you. But I would just kind of ease into letting it extend. Now it feels good. I feel completely fine letting the knee extend all the way. If it does feel good, you can actually hook a little bit of weight onto your knee. It could be, I don't know if you have like ankle weights or just anything with a little bit of weight you could put on your knee, and that would help passively increase that extension too. Also, I was thinking more about that cycling one, the one where you're on your back and you're cycling in the air. Another one that I had tried is cycling on a stationary bike. So once your knee feels good enough to get on a stationary bike, you can adjust the height of the seat, how far forwards or far back it is, and the location of the handlebars. And you can make it so that you're accessing the range of motion that your knee can actually do, just by adjusting the height of the seat. And that was a really nice one for me because I was able to get into a little bit more range of motion over time as I did that. Initially, it felt uncomfortable. It felt kind of stiff and icky and gunky feeling. But as I kept with it, the range of motion actually started to open up quite a bit. So I would do that for 5 to 10 minutes at least, really starting to warm up the joint a little bit more. And that really helped it. Like opened up so much more range of motion. And that I think helped prepare me for more walking because it was getting more of this extension and flexion. So that could be a really nice one to explore too. There were 3 main exercises where I kept my leg relatively straight. I'll show you this way so you can see with the injured leg what I would do. So I would try to get my leg as straight as I could and then raise the leg up and lower back down. Oftentimes my knee was a bit more bent. I was doing it like that. But the goal was try to straighten the leg, contract the quad as much as you can, this muscle here. You can even pull your toes this way to contract the quad more, and then raise and lower. And I would do 10 reps per side. It's good to keep training both sides with this too, because if you're not using your left leg, you're probably not using your right leg very much either. At least left leg for me in this case. So it's worth doing both sides. So that would be the first one, is these leg raises this way. Then I would go onto my side. So you could start with your hips pretty stacked, where you're raising your leg. You could also rotate a little bit forward, so now your hips are a little bit past stacked. So I would do 10 reps of these on both sides. And then the last one, I would lay on my stomach and I would raise my leg up and down. Again, trying to keep the leg as straight as possible while doing it. And that would activate my glutes a little bit more. And so it was a nice way to get a little bit more strength around the area. Once I got more extension, that opened the door to more walking. So I was trying to walk really as soon as I could. I was using crutches for probably the first 2 weeks. And then I went down to 1 crutch. And then shortly after that, I went down to 0 crutches. And I was walking. I did have a bit of a limp at that point, but I was trying to walk small increments. So I remember actually like setting goals for myself out on my sidewalk. I would walk towards the next house adjacent to me. And I was proud of myself if I can make it to the driveway of the next house. And then I'd walk back. And over time, I kept measuring my distance. Eventually, I was able to walk halfway down the block and back. When I made it around the full block, that was an amazing day. I was so stoked about that. So set goals for yourself and see how far you can walk each day and see if it can improve. A lot of it was like estimating how far I could walk before I was like, I need to turn around because I'm going to be in pain by the time I get back to the house. So set reasonable goals for yourself. And also be mindful of like stability. If you're walking on cement, that's going to be a little bit easier to stabilize. Your knee is going to have an easier time walking with that. But if you're walking on grass or anything that's unstable, like maybe pebbles or stones, that's going to be a lot harder to stabilize. So I tried to avoid any of those unstable surfaces for quite some time, for at least a couple months. Honestly, 2 months was kind of my benchmark for mostly staying on solid surfaces. And then after that, I started exploring grass, which has some instability, but it still wasn't super varied. And even that felt scary initially. So build yourself up with the stability piece too. So yeah, that's kind of what I did for the walking piece. Was I tried to progress my walking daily. I would try to get at least a little walk in, and train that motor control, train the coordination to get normal walking pattern back. The normal walking pattern likely took, I think, about 4 months, maybe 5 months even, to not have any limp, and where I felt confident getting full knee extension again. So for me, it took quite some time. For someone else, it might be faster or it might be slower. But that's generally the timeline that took for me. And once I was able to start bending my knee a little bit more, it opened up the glute bridges. And so this was a really nice one to work the hamstrings and the glutes. So I would lay on my back. So the further out you go, generally the more hamstring intensive it is. If you want to start a little bit closer, it's going to be usually a bit easier on the hamstrings, a little bit more maybe glute focused. But try to find something where you're targeting a little bit more of the hamstrings, because the hamstrings are really important for taking off some of the load on your ACL. So the hamstring, it kind of acts almost like the ACL. The ACL helps keep your tibia from moving forwards or rotating. It does a couple things. But your hamstring kind of does the same thing. It helps pull your tibia back this way. And so if your hamstrings are strong, that's going to help take some of the load off from the ACL. And so I would do about 10 reps, lifting up, holding for a second, contracting, and then lowering down. If you can get a little bit higher, even better. You're using your glutes a little bit more too, probably. And then lowering back down. I need a bench for this. I'll be back. So I would use, a chair, a couch, anything, a bench, and I would practice with control sitting down slowly until I'm sitting on the bench, and then with control standing back up. A lot of people will kind of fall down the last couple inches. So try on that last little section to make that the slowest portion. And then same thing with standing up. Really contract the quads, use the glutes to help stand up. Now, if this is feeling painful, some days I felt more inflammation in my knee than others. So sometimes that was pretty painful. I had to usually use my hands to help me down. So if that's the case for you one of these days, then instead of standing up and sitting down, you could try just to imagine standing up, lean into your feet and contract the quads. Really try to feel them engage and try to simulate that sensation of standing up. And then release. So you're kind of contracting and then releasing. You kind of pulse into it. If that feels good, then you can also explore some other ranges. So I would also try to do, with my leg extended, I would try to push my knee down towards the ground and then really contract the quad, try to engage it, try to feel it come back online. It was hard to feel the quad engage right after the injury. It was hard to have much sensation actually in this area. But over time, as you keep trying to contract and feel these muscles, that sensation will come back online. The nerves are repairing. You're getting more of that blood flow back to the area. So things are healing. You are going to get the sensation back. It just might take some time. Part of that time is actually you working to get it back. So you have to actually put a little bit of intention into getting this mind-muscle connection back too. So again, contract, hold for a second, and then release. Kind of pulse back and forth between those two. So again, 10 to 20 reps could be a really good number to aim for. For these, where you contract and release, whether it's leg bent, leg straight, or standing up and lowering down. And as this gets easier, you can start finding shorter and shorter things to sit on. So like at my gym, we have a stack of plates, and I would try to sit down onto those plates and then stand back up. And as I got better, I would remove the plates and I would get a little bit lower and then lower and lower. And now I can sit in my full deep squat again. And it feels good. I mean, my My knee, it probably took, I would think, about 14 months. Yeah, about 14 months to get full deep squat, full knee compression without any pain. So it does take some time. It's important to be patient with it. But if you keep consistently training it, you can get into your deep full squat. Some people might not have had their full deep squat before this injury. Treat this as a really good opportunity and excuse to work towards it. One other thing I just remembered, when I've talked to people who have had an injury, especially in their legs, so their foot or their knee, it ends up really taking them off their feet, and they end up not being able to work out as easily. And a lot of these people have told me that they actually regretted not having maintained some form of exercise during the time that they were injured, because they end up seeing a lot of muscle atrophy and strength loss because of that. Now, the big takeaway I've had from this is that I think it's still important to try to do some form of strength training even while you're injured. And so that could include upper body strength training, core strength training, or some kind of a cardio. I mean, it could be swimming if that feels good on the knee, something that keeps you moving. And the reason for that is to, one, maintain some of that muscle strength in the rest of your body or whatever parts of your body you can. And it keeps you building up momentum for working out and exercising and maintaining your strength. Now, for people who don't currently work out or have a program, I'd say this is actually even more important, because having even one session in a week where you're dedicating to doing some form of strength training or movement is going to help you carve out a time and build a habit of doing this work at that time. And this is looking in the future for when you're rehabbing your knee. Come months 2, 3, and on, we're going to be incorporating more strength training into our ACL rehab, into our knee rehab. And so if you can build in a time in your week now and have that momentum, then it's going to be that much easier to start incorporating these strength exercises into that session that you've already carved out in your day. So those are the main exercises I did in the first month after rupturing my ACL. Now, here's a couple tips for you. First one, if your knee is feeling really inflamed and tired from the exercises, for one, listen to how intense the exercises were. If you're going at a high intensity and you're feeling a lot of pain from that, maybe back off just a little bit, give your knee a slightly lighter dose the next day and see if it can recover and feel better. Once it's feeling stabilized and good again, then you can start to push into that. So you're trying to listen to how intense you can push your knee without going overboard and having to recover from a lot of inflammation. And that took quite a bit of time for me to figure out. Each person's going to be different too, so it's going to take some experimentation for your knee and how it feels. Now, second thing, if your knee is feeling really inflamed from doing a lot of the exercises or from just in general the injury itself, then I noticed that icing it definitely helped, elevating it for sure helped, and then pulsing it, moving it, kept pumping that fluid in and out of the knee. So those three things, icing it, elevating it for a little bit, and then moving it. And I would kind of cycle between this. I wouldn't just continuously ice it and keep it elevated for the whole day. Instead, you actually want to change from like the hot to cold, elevating it and then lowering it down, moving it, and then keeping it still for a little bit to let it recover. Having those shifts in its state can really help get some of that inflammation out. Now, the other thing that I noticed is that at the end of the day, my knee usually hurt more than at the beginning of the day. And what I found is that sleep really, really helped the recovery process. By the end of the day, I remember being like, wow, my knee is killing me. I don't want to stand on it. I don't want to do anything with it anymore. And then I would be like, okay, I'm going to sleep because I know that the next day I feel so much better. And throughout the night, I think a lot of repair was happening in that good deep sleep. Your body is actively working to help heal and repair your knee. So I would almost look forward to the sleep because I knew that my knee would usually feel pretty good the next day. So it was a really nice reset. Now, I did also notice that sometimes it was scary going to sleep because I didn't know if I would accidentally move it in a way that would cause further injury. So initially, sleep was scarier for me. Sometimes in the morning, I remember wanting to go into this big stretch and I would forget that I had ruptured my ACL. and I would do this huge extension in my leg and then would pull something. It would be super painful. Oh, it would make me so terrified. Like I ruined all my progress, but it actually was totally fine. It didn't ruin my progress. It didn't cause further crazy damage. It was a sharp pain, but it went away pretty quick. So if it does happen to you, know that from my experience, it didn't cause any massive damage. So those are some things to keep in mind with your inflammation, with recovery over the course of the night. Some other things is the nutrition. The only nutritional change that I made was I ate more collagen. So that, you can find that in bone broth. So if you eat meat, that could be a great way to get some collagen in. There's also collagen supplements that you can take. You could add that to a soup. That's a really delicious way to eat collagen. You could put it in anything. People put it in their coffee. You could add it to a smoothie. So collagen can be a great way to support your body because it's directly supplying your body with the raw materials to help rebuild your ligaments. So I tried to get a little bit more collagen in just to give my body ample supplies of that raw material. Now, I've also read that if you eat vitamin C in conjunction with eating collagen, the vitamin C can help increase the utilization of that collagen. And so if you can, maybe you put collagen in with orange juice or something. Just, you could even have vitamin C supplements you could take, but just having those in conjunction, working together, tends to help improve the utilization of that collagen. And if you want to join this community that we're building of other people doing ACL rehab, just follow that link in the description. And it's a really cool community that we're starting to build. I'm posting links to resources, different research papers, my findings on it, what I found helps me, what's helped other people. So there's a lot of good resources in there. And I'm also going to be doing live Zoom calls with groups in that community too. So check out some of the details if you want to be a part of that. So I hope to see you in that community. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.